Hi, welcome back to Tyne Valley Motorhomes. I'm Callum, and behind us we've got the handover of the Tribute T650 on a 2008. So starting the walk round of the vehicle on the driver's side first, you've got your main habitation key which opens all your locks, caps and flaps. So the first point you get to is your fresh water intake. So release the cover, and then what you'll need to do is you'll need to carry a hose pipe with some hose pipe connections, as it's mainly just a brass tap on most sites, and simply unscrew this cap, put your hose in there and wait until it either overflows or until you can see on the control panel how much water you've got on board the vehicle. But if you want a full tank, just let it overflow. There's no harm in doing that, then you know it is full. And then you can screw your cap back on and lock your freshwater flap. Coming further back, you've got your Truma vent cover. So this needs to come off when operating the water heater on gas, because if it didn't come on, the fumes won't be allowed to come out the vehicle and it will fail. So all you need to do is remove the cap. So you can either do it one way, you can put your hand on the top, thumb in the middle and remove the cover. This will just allow the fumes to exit the vehicle when operating on gas. You can put it back on when you're travelling and when you're washing the vehicle, but on gas it needs to come off. Best place to put these is in the door pocket of the driver's door, and then before you leave your site you can pop it back on. Mains connection point. So this is how we hook the vehicle up with mains. So you want to get a mains hookup lead, connect the vehicle first, then walk to your power source and do it in reverse order, so that you're not walking around with a live lead should you be hooking up in the wet, or if the lead should be damaged, you don't want to get an electric shock. And then this vehicle has had gas flow fitted, which is a refillable system instead of the conventional gas bottle that you disconnect and replace. So this is the filler point. So you go to your local LPG centre. It's a bayonet fitting. Fit the filler on, twist the neck of the filler and pull the cap back on the filler gun. Simply fill until it won't take any more by pressing the button on the display panel of the filler on the station. This something from empty will probably take about £25. We have just filled this system up and it did take exactly £25, and it'll stop when it's full. So that's your filler. On the back you've got your brake, high level brake light, reverse camera, Fiamma bike rack, which takes 2 bikes. So you'd simply pull it down, loosen these red screws off to move the bike wheel chock along the rail should your bikes be bigger. And then what you can do is tie the spokes down to the chock, and then crossbars for your first bike and crossbars for your second bike. Then we do advise putting some sort of bike lock around them, just in case you are leaving the vehicle unattended. Your bikes are still going to be on the back when you come back to the vehicle. But behind here is where these two, because this customer has had 2 6 kilogram refillable bottles put on. So these are 6 kilograms, and you can see on the top the level indicator on both of them. So they're in the green, which means they're full. And you've got a changeover valve. So you see the little nib on the bottom, little diamond, it's pointing to that bottle or it's pointing to this bottle. So once one bottle goes, you can just turn it and you've always got a spare. They do fill together, so you don't need to turn it from one bottle and then turn it the other. They do just simply, when you fill it with gas, that both take the gas into both bottles. And then you can turn the bottles on and off via the yellow toggle, and you've got a plus this side and a minus this side. So we do recommend that you turn them off before you do start travelling, just as safety. precaution in case anything does happen to the vehicle on the road. At least if the gas is isolated, it's no harm to you or other road users. Got your tabletop, and then at the bottom here you do have your cassette toilet. So to operate your cassette toilet, you need to make sure that the blade is closed, because if it wasn't closed, the mechanism will be engaged and the cassette won't be able to come out the back of the vehicle. So there's a little yellow lever, push it up, slide the cassette free of the vehicle. You can then carry it to your waste disposal point, which is beside your toilet block. Take the cap off, press the yellow button just to allow a bit of air in, gives it a consistent flow when emptying the cassette. You would empty it, then once you've emptied it, there's normally a tap there, so put some water in, give it a rinse and tip out again, and then you would fill your cap full, which is 120 ml of either the blue or the green chemical liquid, and pop it back into the vehicle. Ask your site which liquids they prefer to use, because some of them now want the green but some of them still accept the blue, so just ask when booking your sites. Your fridge vents, electric step, your diesel filler, which opens with the main ignition key, so you need to get the key, pop it in, turn it, release it, and you can fill with diesel fuel. Higher pressures on the side of the passenger door shut, so 59.3 psi on the front, 65 on the rear. You've got a tool kit which includes a jackknip brace and a tow eye underneath the passenger seat. Engine batteries underneath this compartment, so if you ever need to charge it over the winter or you need to remove it to replenish the engine battery, you've got to take this cover off. So just 5 little screws, little turn catches should I say, so you just need a screwdriver or a penny or something to open that. And then bonnet release on the side of the dashboard. So you do have all your fluids this side, so you've got screen wash, power steering fluid, engine coolant, brake fluid, oil filler, oil dipstick for checking your levels, and then for giving or receiving a jump start, you'd earth is this end of this little bolt here beside the passenger headlight, and then your positives just underneath this cap here for giving or receiving a jump start, as the engine battery is underneath the cab floor. So underneath your boiler flue, just underneath the vehicle, you've got a handle here. This is your waste water. So this is any water that you've used, dishes water, hand basin water. You'd pull anything that you've put down, shower, hand basin, dishes, all goes into a separate holding tank. You'd drive over the grid on the way out of your site, called the waste disposal site, pull it, drain off your grey water, because you wouldn't want to carry that round with you because it's the added weight, and obviously that'll impact on how much fuel you use and how much payload you can put on. So get rid of that. And also in the winter you want to make sure that's fully drained off so that the water doesn't freeze when we get colder weather and colder temperatures, because the water could freeze and cause the tank to split or crack, which therefore will not be covered under your warranty, and it's very expensive to replace a tank. So this is your 12-volt control panel. So if you're hooked up, you will be receiving 230 volt. If you're not, you'll only get 12 volt off your leisure battery. So you've got your mains master switch here, which you press and hold to turn on and off, and it'll just do its little cycle before turning itself off. and then just press it and it'll turn itself back on. You can view your battery levels here, so as you can see you've got your carb battery and your leisure battery reading. Then you've got your wastewater and your fresh water reading by hitting this button here, followed by the pump, which pressurizes the water to the taps, toilet and shower. But do make sure you've got water on board before turning this on, otherwise you can burn the motor out if you haven't got any water, because it's not pumping anything round and there's nothing lubricating the motor. Awning light, but this vehicle isn't fitted with one, so ignore this switch. Then the last one, you do have your interior lights. This is the master switch for your interior lights, which are all then individually switched around the vehicle. So interior lights, awning lights, not fitted with one. Pump to pressurize the taps, toilet and shower with water. Your water level indicator. This side of the switch you've got your 12 volt battery readings, carb and leisure, and then you press and hold the top of the switch to turn the vehicle on and off of 12 volt, and that's your 12 volt control panel. To heat the vehicle is fitted with a Webasto diesel heating, so make sure that you've got a quarter of a tank or more in the main engine tank, as that's where it's fed from, and it's on 2 different levels. So the engine takes a lower feed, the Webasto takes a higher feed, hence the reason why you need a quarter of a tank of diesel or more. And then you simply turn it on full for the first 5 minutes until the combustion starts its cycle with the diesel heater, and then you can adjust the temperature accordingly to whatever you want the vehicle to be. Top's 30 degrees, obviously middle around here is about 15-17 degrees, and you can adjust that, but always make sure that you start it on full, as it will start the combustion cycle a lot quicker, and then you can adjust it. And that's how you'd heat your vehicle. And you can use this when traveling as well, so if you've got a passenger sitting in the back, you can keep them warm by using the diesel heater. Or if you're pulling onto site in the winter, 10 minutes before you might, or 20 minutes before you arrive on site, you might want to pull over, whack the heater on, so that when you arrive on site, the back of the motorhome's nice and warm. So underneath your long bench seat, if you remove the cover that goes in here by sliding it forward, which is this cover here, just sits on top of there, you've got the location of your freshwater tank. So your freshwater tank's there. If you ever need to gain access to it, you can get in from the top. And then to empty it, you've got your pump at the back, and you've also got a little valve here. So that valve there with the blue cap, you would turn. Just want to turn that. So turn it to open like so. And you'll hear the water start trickling out underneath the vehicle to drain down, and you want to drain down the fresh water in the winter so that the water doesn't freeze, or if you've taken on contaminated water. You've got your leisure battery location underneath here, so you've got a Numax 105 amp hour battery there. Just make sure that you do keep that charged, because once in the winter when it's cold, these new batteries, when they go completely flat, sometimes they won't accept a charge and you need to replace the battery, so do just keep an eye on that. And then you've got your Truma boiler. So your Truma boiler holds 10 litres of water at any one time. To drain it off, you've got your drain off valve just located underneath this metal cover here. So you'll see it's got a yellow toggle and it's currently lying down, which means it can hold 10 litres of water. So to drain off the boiler, all you need to do is lift the valve up like so, come in with no pump and no power on, and what that will do is it will eliminate all the water that's in here by leaving it stood up on end to drain off the 10 litres of water that's in there in the winter to stop it from freezing. Leave that valve stood up in the up position throughout the time that you've got the vehicle stood up, so that no water freezes. And then when you're ready to refill it, shut the valve, shut the one at the back so your water tank can hold water, fill the vehicle with water, come in, put the control panel on, put the pump on, pump the water. The pump will pump the water on the cold side of the tap straight to the tap from the tank, and then go to the hot side. It'll cough splutter, and what it is doing is the pump is transferring the water from that tank into here of 10 litres until this is full, and then you'll get a pressurised flow of water, a free flow of water from the hot side. This is when you know that your system is then primed. But remember, only put the pump on if there's water in the tank and in here. And obviously don't put in to heat your water. Got a switch here, so Truma boiler, it's gas only to heat the water on this vehicle, so the cover needs to come off. And you've got two settings, you've got 50 degrees off in the middle or 70 degrees at the bottom for heating your water on gas. But don't heat the water if there's no water in the boiler, because you will burn the element out. Located at the back of here is your trip on mains electric, so if you think you're not getting mains electric, you can trip the vehicle out by pressing this button here, and as you can see there, it's tripped. We are receiving 230 volt at the moment. Handy little bit of storage in there as well, and that'll get warm in there as it's close to the boiler, as all air gets warm once that boiler's heating the water on gas. To operate the fridge, so the fridge is a three-way fridge. So you've got your selector here, so you've got off at the top, and then if you go down one, you've got gas, and it'll self-ignite, so you'll hear a clicking in the background until it self-ignites. And you would use gas if you had no 230 volt hookup, so that would be if you're wild camping. And then you've got mains hookup, which is the plug, and it'll work as a household fridge on 230 volt. So if you're pre-chilling it at home, you would use 230 volt. If you're on a site, you would use 230 volt, as you wouldn't want to waste your gas, and you'd want to use their electric because that's what you've paid for. And then, like I said, if you've pre-chilled it and you've got shopping in, so if you've had it on if you've pre-chilled it at home and you've got your shopping in, or you've been to one site and you're going to another site, what you can do to keep your shopping nice and edible during the time you're travelling, and it'll go to a giant cool box and just keep it at the same temperature, you can turn it down to the battery. And that'll only work when the engine is running. You'll get a feed off the engine, a 12 volt feed, to turn it into a cool box. Or you can just put it on automatic and it'll do its own thing. So it'll go to hook up. If you're hooked up, if you're not hooked up, it'll go to gas, and when you start the engine, it'll go to 12 volt. So I would just leave it on automatic and let it do its own thing. But please note, with the automatic setting, you do have to wait 20 minutes before it lights on gas once you've turned the engine off. This is just a safety feature in case you were to pull into a petrol station and fill with fuel. You don't want this not finding 12 volt and not finding mains hookup, but the gas to be open and lighting in a petrol station. You've got your frame freezer here, so this just stops the doors from freezing once the fridge and freezer is on at full temperature. And then this is just your temperature gauge, so when pre-chilling, have it on full. Once you put your shopping in, just turn it down so that it doesn't freeze the fridge. Lockable travel catches, so unlock, and then you'll be able to open the door on the freezer and on the fridge. And then what you can do is, when you are finished using the vehicle and you're not using it for a couple of weeks, or you're not using it for a couple of months and putting it to bed in the winter, take everything out, give the fridge and freezer a clean out, and then leave the doors open, because if you don't, the air will be trapped and it will become smelly, mouldy air, and your vehicle will start to smell. And that's just because you haven't left the fridge doors open. But what you can do is lock the catch and then just rest it up against the hinge on the door, and that's left them open as they're not flush, so air circulation will go in and out the fridge and freezer. So in the kitchen area, using the ignition, you've got your burners, so you can You light your burner, so you've got one lit there.
Can't see the sun, can you? Good.
That's it, they're coming through. Sometimes needs just a gas. There. And there, that's another one lit. That's the back one lit, and
They're all lit.
they're all lit there. So you've got 3, or should I say 4 gas burners. Once you've had them on, if you turn them off before you do put the glass lid down, allow it to cool, because if you don't, you can shatter the glass lid. And then below you've got an oven and a grill. So starting off with there's the oven away at the bottom, and then you do have your grill. So allow the thermocouple to get warm by just holding the knob in for a little bit longer, and then you can release and it'll stay lit. You may want to take these out when travelling, as they can cause a little bit of vibration when on the road. And you do have that water systems that you pump on, so you've got your warm water's coming through there. And then you've got your cold water as well. You've got a fly screen and a blackout blind on all the windows. Press the buttons in to release the window, push it out. It's got a stay on it, so it'll automatically stay out. You've got to push it all the way out to bring it back in. And you do have your light, so there's a little switch on there for the light underneath the kitchen cupboard. And then to release all the cabinets, push the travel catch in, and you've got storage above. Skylight you open just by turning the winder. Make sure these are closed before you do start travelling, along with your windows, as you wouldn't want the wind to rip these off. And you've got a blackout blind for on an evening. Underneath the oven you do have some storage, but you do also have 3 gas isolation valves. So any problems with gas, turn the bottle off to be safe. These are mainly for when the vehicle is annually serviced, just so we can isolate each appliance to make sure that the gas is working to the correct standard on all appliances. Got some more storage in there, followed by cutlery drawer and another drawer. In the washroom, to operate the toilet, make sure the pump's on, and on the back here you do have a blue button which is your freshwater flush. So if you press that, you'll get some flush. So always put a little bit of water in the bottom bowl of the toilet to lubricate the seal between the cassette and the blade. And then to open the blade and engage the mechanism so that you can see into the cassette, you need to push this to the right. You can now use the toilet, everything will go into the cassette, and then when you're finished, flush and close back to the left. Do it in this order, and then when the cassette indicates that it is full, the person on the back that's emptying the toilet will light up red, which means the cassette's full. It's now time to change the cassette. And if you've done it that way, you can open the back door and pull it straight out of the vehicle as the mechanism is not engaged. Toilet roll holder. In here gets really warm as you've got a vent from the heater. Storage underneath the sink. Toiletry cabinet. Individually switch light. Window, which is the same as all of them. Shower curtain with shower head. When winterizing, disconnect that, unscrew the shower head and lie the hose in the tray with the mixer tap open, and this will stop the water from coiling up in here and potentially freezing. Leave all the mixer taps throughout the motorhome in the open position, and any water that's in any pipelines will simply dribble out via the waste, which would be open from outside. And then you do have a skylight where you can pinch to open. You can open it one side, you can tilt one side down, you can keep one side up and pull one side down depending on which way the wind's blowing, so you can have ventilation after you've had a shower in the washroom. Across from the washroom you do have your wardrobe. So in there you've got your carb carpets, habitation carpet, the leg for the table which goes in the front there, and the table is on the back of here, so you need to access it from opening the back doors. So to make the beds, release the catches on both the fronts so that you can pull them out, and then take this off the back. So you can pop those into here to fill the space. You can either use it as 2 single beds, or you can use it as 1 double by pulling the middle into here, popping that in, taking that cushion out, or just pulling it forward, and then you can turn this cushion on its side, being the backrest. And then you put the little infill cushions in the centre to stop, to make the double bed across the width of the vehicle. Now in the cab, to the right of the driver you do have your handbrake, and then on the doors you've got driver and passenger electric windows, followed by your electric mirror adjustment. So you've got 2 mirrors you can adjust on both sides, the main mirror and the blind spot, so you can choose the mirror here and then adjust it electronically with this toggle. On the doors, so you've got Remus carb line, so you can black the doors out on an evening, and you can do the same with the windscreen by pushing 1 up, 1 down. I'll pop the blind out, slide that into the middle, do the same with the passenger side, 1 up, 1 down, slide to the middle. They are just magnetic, so if it's going to be a windy night, put something around here, hair bobble, elastic band, and that'll black out the cab. And you've got the same on that window as well. Headlight adjustment, trip computer which will go through your range, your trip computer distance, your average miles per gallon, your instant miles per gallon when you're driving, and your average speed, and the time it's taking you. Lights and indicators, cruise control at the bottom. Simply turn it on, get the speed by accelerating using the pedal, and push up to set, pull down to slow down, cancel either with a foot brake or the end of the stalk, and then you can press resume to last speed set before the engine was knocked off. 6-speed manual gearbox with lift the collar underneath and take it into reverse, which will bring on your rear view camera on this little monitor here. Sony radio, so you just press source and you can go through the radio 1 to 6 to save your favourite preset radio stations. You've got a CD, so you can put a CD in there. or you can go to auxiliary, which is a 3.5mm jack here. Storage above. Climate control, so on this left hand outer ring you've got your temperature, and then you can go to 1 to 4 for your demist, so this is just your fan speed. And on this outer ring you've got your distribution, so face, feet, screen, and then you've got your circulation on the bottom, so whether you're bringing fresh air in or recirculating air within the vehicle. Heated mirrors, if they were wet or foggy you can clear them so you can get great visibility down the side of the van. Rear fogs, hazards, this will lock the doors on an evening when all the doors are shut, and this will open the doors as well. Two 12-volt points, a lockable glove box with the key, another glove box, and then you've got another one here which is on the top. To spin the seats, use these little levers, so slide the seat forward, you'll be able to pull it and spin it round into the back of the van, and that is the same with the driver's seat. But make sure that you do hear them lock in before you start driving, so that that seat doesn't spin round, and it does exactly the same with the driver's seat. And then you've got obviously your lights here, so they'll be on when the doors open, because we do have the back doors of the vehicle open at the moment, but you can turn the map lights on should you need them.